joining us. It's good to see you. Hi, Marjorie. Tell me why you're looking forward to this video. I'm really looking forward to this video too. So, a short story. Last week, I was going to do this video and I couldn't find my acrylic paint and I was really upset about it. I went to my studio to see if I'd left it there. I went out to my car like 3 times, and I never, ever, ever leave paint in my car because temperatures really affect your paint. So if it's too hot here in the summertime, that can ruin my paint. If it's too cold, that can ruin my paint. Scruffy, stop. No. And I called around to my daughter to see if I had left it there. I wonder if I left it up at the cabin. So I finally found my paint, and you guys, it was put away right here in the cabinet. And in last week's video, it was showing right there. And when I was rewatching the video, I was like, what? There's my paint. So, okay, this is coming to you a week later than I had intended. And my purpose was to show you guys the Gelli Plate. I am not an expert at the Gelli Plate. It's something I didn't even know existed 6 months ago. And I've played around with it a few times and it's super fun. It's super relaxing. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. You're never quite sure what you're going to get from every pull that you do. And it's a way to create your own designs and your own decoupage paper. It's great if you like to do collage. It's great if you like to do decoupage. And it's just a really fun thing to do. So if it's not too late, add it to your list for Santa to bring to you because it's super fun. So let me show you what a Gelli Plate is. And in the comments, would you please make a comment if you have ever used a Gelli Plate before. I'd like to know who has, who hasn't, and that kind of thing. So it comes in a package like this, and you want to keep your Gelli Plate in the package that it comes in just to keep it moist and to keep it protected. And this is what it actually looks like. It's like clear gelatin. And I've been playing with mine all afternoon, so that's why it's kind of grungy. And I'll show you quickly what I have actually done. So it goes in different steps. So using some stencils, this was the first pull that I did using a combination of 2 greens and a black. So this was the first pull, and it's a little messy because I think it was a little too wet. And then this was the second pull, which was a little better. And I don't want to stack them on because they're actually still damp. And I believe this was the third pull. And to this one, I had added some gold to it before I pulled it. So I think that's pretty. And then the last pull, I think, it wasn't this one. This one wasn't the last pull, but this had some gold on it too. So this was probably the gold before or after. I've lost count, you guys. And I think this was the last pull. And so you can see that you get all kinds of variations on it. Then I did, earlier today, I did this set. So with this one, I think this one was my first pull. Hi, Carol. Yay. So I think this was the first pull, and I think this was the second one. And you can see that they are different from each other because it's taking layers of paint off with each pull. And then it was really running out of paint, and I was literally just cleaning off the Gelli plate. But you still get, if you're doing a collage, you're still getting pieces that you might want to use. And then this was just my roll off to clean my roller, but it's still a pretty piece that I might, you know, at some point use in something else. So I never pull those, I never throw those away. And let's see. Oh, so I did I have some stencils Mylar stencils that I had made, and these are the pieces that you pull out of a stencil. And so I had saved them because they're really fun to use for Gelli plates. And so this was one of them. That was probably the first pull, and it's red, 2 shades of red with some gold in it. So depending how the light catches it, you see the gold. And then this was the second pull, and it's pretty distressed, but I still like it. Has a real distressed look to it. This was the third pull, and it's getting very distressed, but honestly, that's a cool looking piece, and I can see myself using that grungy distressed piece on some kind of a collage. And there's my wipe off, my cleaning off my roller piece. And most of the times I do keep those. And then I'll show you one more and then we'll get started. So this was the same effect as the trees that I showed you the first time. Trees and snowflakes using greens and gold. And see, these would be really pretty if you cut them out and put them on a Christmas card to send to someone. And here's the second one. And you don't have to do Christmassy themes. Just think about, you know, Easter's coming. And if you do a lot of collage, you don't even have to have a theme. And learning how to do this and learning how to do collage has been so much fun for me. This one's just got a lot of color on it. And this was something that was, that's my wipe off. But this was something that was just fun that I learned from hanging out at Ground Floor Artists and Surprise. And that's where my studio is. And there's 39 working artists there in every medium you can think of. And probably mediums you can't think of and don't even know. And that was the case with this jelly print. I was there one day on an open workshop. It was just anybody that wanted to show up and work on whatever project they wanted to work on. And 2 or 3 of the gals were doing jelly plates. And I was like, what? What is a jelly plate? And I had no idea of all the cool things and fun things. And you guys, I am just learning. I am like at a kindergarten level here, maybe not even that level. Hi, Debbie, so nice to see you. But it's super fun. And like I said, it's super relaxing. And, you know, you can have a movie on and be rolling your stuff out and just trying things out. And It just has so many possibilities. So let's get started. I'm going to put the camera down and let's get started. Hi, Leslie. Boy, I've got some people on here I haven't seen on in a long time. I'm so excited about that. Let's see. Oops. Well, that's not good, you guys. I just disconnected my whole system here. Okay, give me a minute. My whole tripod fell apart on me. It fell apart easier than it's going back together. There. All right. Hallelujah. Okay, you guys. So the first thing to do is to put your color on, and this will eventually clean itself up. You can also take soap and water to clean it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide what colors I'm going to put on here. And I've been playing around. I think I will I'll do some more red and gold ones. So I'm going to use, this is a kit that I got at Michael's. It's the Artist Loft, which is Michael's brand. And it was like 2, 4, 6, about 25, 30 colors. And if you watch, they put it on sale for 40% off pretty often. I actually bought my granddaughter a set of these paints and a Gelli Plate and the roller. And I did put a list of all the things that you need in the post above. And I don't want to get too much because I've been on some of these, I've gotten too much. So you just put some paint on. That's how you start off. And you guys, you can do this on printer paper. You can use tissue paper. Save all of your tissue paper from Christmas wrappings because that works really well. And I watched a video and she was using bakery tissue, and I just ordered it on Amazon. And I really love this bakery tissue. It's 1,000 sheets, and I think it was $12, something like that. And it works super nice. And it's just the right size. Now, these Gelli Plates come in different sizes. This is a 8 by 12, I think. Let me look on my package. It's an 8 by 10, which is a really nice size. They come like 5 by 7. They come in different sizes. And so you just put a few globs of the acrylic paint. You can use chalk paint on these. I haven't tried it yet. Boy, this is a pretty combination. I like that. And so you just put it on, and then you just wipe your brayer off. You don't have to have 2 brayers, but it's nice to have 2. And then I'm going to take, I have a bunch of stencils, and you guys, you can make your own stencils. You can cut up stencils. If you're making your own, you can, that one's still pretty wet. Let me see if I can find one that's not still pretty wet. And you don't even have to use stencils. You guys, there are so many videos on YouTube of really good artists. And I'll try to make a list of a few of my favorites. And there's no rule on how to do this, you guys. Just do, like, I just want to get as much design on my piece as I can. So I'm going to put that down. And we'll use this one. Now, like I said, you don't even have to use stencils. I wanted to do, I've got some I don't know what size they are. I've got some stationery that is for Christmas cards. It's the card in the envelope. And I wanted to decoupage some of these tissues on that. Okay, and so I'm going to take my deli paper here. So I've got an assortment of paint colors on here. Now I've laid my stencils down. And I'm going to put my tissue on top. And see how nicely that fits? That's why I like that deli. But you can use printer paper, wrapping tissue paper. On the wrapping tissue paper, I like that a lot because when you use tissue paper to decoupage, it just melts into the background. But one of the artists that I follow, she uses the deli paper a lot, and I really liked the finish that she was getting. So I'm just lightly, for right now, just going over the paper here. And then I'm going to take my clean brayer here, and I'm going to rub it over it, roll it over it, not rub it. And get the edges. Because again, you guys, remember, you're going to decoupage with this. So you may just be tearing off bits and pieces of what you do like for your design and what you don't. So you may not want those borders. You know, like if you're doing a card, you may not want those borders, but you may need them for some future project. And then I found if I just kind of pressed into that design, it also helped and we're going to get several pulls from this. Okay, so I'm going to start here at the bottom, and I'm just going to slowly lift up, and it's pulling up some of the green that was on the last pull, which is perfectly fine. And so can you guys see what a pretty design I got? Let me see if that's in the camera. So I'm really happy with that. I'm going to set that aside. And then I think I'm going to add some gold to this. And so I'm using the Liquitex Basic Acrylics, and Michaels puts this on sale where you can buy one and you get 50% off of the second one. So I just always watch the sales. I never buy this without it being on sale. And you know, you get your coupons at Michaels for your rewards coupons. Okay, so I'm going to roll this gold into this. And it's going to give it a completely different effect than the first pull that we did. And if you're a person that does journaling, this may be completely familiar to you. Because a lot of people who do journaling do this. Okay, then I'm going to roll that off over here on my tissue, because you get really cool designs on those too. Pull off another deli tissue. Lay it down. And then smooth it out. So the first smooth, I use my hands and just get it all laid down. And honestly, until just recently, I only used my hands for doing this because that's all I had seen on the videos. But then I saw a gal the other day. She uses her hands and she uses her clean roller just to make sure she's hit all the surfaces. So I tried that today and that does work really well. But I'm making sure that I've made contact with the Gelli Plate in all of those design areas. And after we make a few of these, I'll show you some of the very first ones that I've done. Some have turned out really cool and some have turned out pretty ugly. It's a learning process. But like I said, there's no right or wrong. And you never know for sure what you're going to get. So I think it's kind of a fun thing. So I'm just going to pull up, starting here at the bottom. And I'm not getting a whole lot off of this pull, you guys. I'm kind of surprised I didn't get more. Okay, so this one is not great. It pulled some green that was already on that stencil off, but it's not like one of my favorite pulls. That's definitely a truth. So now I'm going to take this, lift the stencils off, and see how it leaves that cool imprint underneath. Now we're going to get a beautiful pull from that. Look at that, you guys. That is stunning. Love, love, love. adding the gold in when I did, just, it's kind of like outlined in there, and it's like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I could repeat that process again or not. I mean, I've done that process, but I never got that effect. So that's one of the cool things, you guys. You can already see through this paper how pretty that's going to be. And I know I haven't looked at comments or questions, and I will here in just a minute because I want to let this just sit and dry out a little bit on here before I pull, and that will help clean off my Gelli plate for the next one by letting it sit here for a little bit. Okay, so right now while that's sitting there, I'm going to look at questions. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Leslie. Hi, Carol. Debbie, so you learned it from Lexi? Well, then I bet I didn't know she did Gelli plates, but she's so amazing. So yeah, it's a super fun process. Super, super fun. Okay, so I don't remember if I rolled it, but I'm going to roll it again, just to make sure that it's made contact the best that we can, because this will be the last pull with this color and this design. Okay, cross your fingers. Okay, it came out pretty good, you guys. I'm not unhappy with that. And it's cleaning off the Gelli plate, and that is, you know, eventually you do want to get your plate cleaned up. But that is a really pretty design. I like that. So I'll set that aside, and you can see that there is still quite a bit of paint on here. I can see that stencil and outline and everything on there. And what I can try doing, I don't know if we'll get what kind of result we'll get, but we'll just try it for fun because that's all we're doing here. So I'm just going to put some black on here. I'm not going to put any other color on. I'm just going to put some black on here. And these colors that are still on here should show up on top of the black. So we'll see. That's what I mean. We're just playing. And I don't think there's like a right or a wrong. I may have to add a little more. I have a tendency to either get it too wet or not wet enough. With the big tubes, that's when I tend to get it too wet. But you guys, if you have a budding artist in your family, like my granddaughter is 8, and she and I did this one weekend up at the cabin, and they have an exchange student from Italy with them, and we made postcards. And then the exchange student, they stopped at the Heber Overgaard post office and got the postcard postmarked from there, and then she sent it home to Italy to her family. And the girls had so much fun that afternoon. creating and then decoupaging their creations onto postcards. And you can get the postcards, the blank postcards and the blank Christmas cards. I think I got the postcards at Hobby Lobby, and the cardstock with the envelopes, I know I got that off of Amazon. Thank goodness for Amazon. Okay, so I don't know if on camera you guys can see the outline from the previous stencils that were on there, but I can see it. So that's what I'm hoping we pick up on this pull. So you guys have any questions? I've just been doing and talking. If you've got questions, I'm going to let this sit for a minute and I'll look at your questions. I'm just going to put it down. Okay, there's no stencil. What I'm trying to do is pick up what was still on that plate. And I'm going to let this sit here for a minute and okay, so while that's sitting there soaking up, let me see what you got going on. Hi, Barbara. I'm glad I can teach you something you're not familiar with. That's always nice. Debbie, I just bought my Gelli Plate. I know that some people make them. Okay, so I don't see any questions. There are recipes online to make your own, and I've heard pros and cons about that. To me, it's just as easy just to go buy one and use your, if you're buying it at Michael's, use your 40% coupon or 20% coupon off on it. I noticed the last time I was at Hobby Lobby, they didn't even have any, so I was really glad that I bought mine for my granddaughter way early. And so I bought her a big clear box. It's probably 20 by 20 box and maybe 5 or 6 inches. And I have filled it with different kinds of paper and tissue paper and her Gelli Plate and this assortment of colors and her roller and stencils. And when I make stencils, I make her a stencil. So let me show you, let me pull out my folder from things that I started with originally. Okay, you guys can use rice paper. I got this off of Amazon, and it does really, really nice. It's 100 sheets. I don't remember what I paid for it. It wasn't terribly expensive, but this is a really nice quality rice paper. That works really well. Just any kind of tissue paper, just plain old tissue paper, and it doesn't have to be white. You can use any kind of colored tissue paper, any kind of tissue paper. I've made stencils, like this is a stencil I have on my website. It's a Mylar stencil, and it makes a really cool design on your Gelli Plate. This was one that I was at my studio this morning and somebody was throwing this out and it was on the trash can and I grabbed it up. It was like, it's barely used and it's like, good grief, why would you be throwing that out? That's a great Gelli Plate stencil. So these are some of the designs that I've made previously, and when there's torn out pieces, that's because I've added them to a collage. Because the fun thing when you do it on tissue paper is it just disappears into your collage. This is just a page that I was just rolling off and cleaning off my roller, but I love all those colors on there. This is a tree. This is the negative out of a stencil. So this is the tree part. And I thought that turned out kind of cool. I also made a stencil with dots in it because, again, when you're doing collage, you can just pull out the elements of what you want. And like if you want just a bunch of dots for something, if you just tear your paper around each one of these dots and decoupage it on, it just disappears and looks like you painted that dot into your collage. Here's another sheet off of that dot. I think I was cleaning the Gelli Plate with this one. This looks like one my oh yeah, we were trying to clean the Gelli Plate because we had used a paint marker on it also. So some of these aren't too impressive. Obviously, I've used pieces of this on a collage. I've taken quite a few collage classes at Ground Floor Artists by Cynthia Dunn. She does beautiful collages, and I love the colors that came out of this pull. Apparently, I think we used that on one of the postcards. I think the colors in that are beautiful. That one's okay. That one's not here or there. Some more polka dots. Roller. Let's see. I know there's some in here that I actually really like. These are some of the very first ones that I did. And these are just on regular printer paper. I like the roll-offs a lot, you guys. And I will definitely use those roll-offs into collage. I like this one a lot. It has some gold in it, and when I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it has a really pretty shimmer to it when you move it around. This one does too. Here's some more dots. That one's kind of a pretty grungy Harlequin. And that one. So that's basically what I've done. I really like the pulls with the stencils, and I will list some of the artists that I like to follow on YouTube because there's a few of them that just do breathtaking designs. And it's just one of those things, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, so we'll pull this one up, and this is actually, the purpose of this one, you guys, was to clean off my plate because there was still some of the gold stencil design left behind. And so that's why I've let this sit for a little while. And so now we'll just try to pull it off and see how much of it cleans off of the plate. And it looks like it did a really, really good job of cleaning off my plate, which was the purpose. It may not turn out to be a beautiful design, but my plate is clean. Okay, so do you guys remember that the plate had all kinds of stuff? Now this dark pen in here was, my granddaughter and I were experimenting, and we were using a paint pen on here with a picture underneath it. It didn't turn out great, and the paint pen doesn't come off. I thought it would, but it doesn't. So this is the clean up sheet. And that's not really too awful, you guys. I could see using that, especially this part of it. But it cleaned up all the stuff that was stuck on there. And that's why I only put one coat on, and I let it sit there and saturate and dry out a little bit. And that way it cleaned off my plate really well. So let me see what the time is like. Yeah, we got time. I have here are the cards that I bought. Blank white cards, 5x7. It was a 20 pack, and I got this off of Amazon, and it has the cards and the envelopes with it. And so what my thought was to decoupage. Let me pick one of these that's dry. We'll try this one and just make my own card. So I'm going to get the jelly pad out of the way here. Hi, Melissa. Homemade jelly plates can go moldy. Okay. It just seems like that's just a process I don't want to be bothered with. I'm doing good to just cook myself a meal, much less make a jelly plate. So all right. The best thing would to have clean hands, which obviously I don't, but I'll try to do this without wrecking it. And I'm looking to see if there is a right side or a wrong side. So because I can see that scored there, I'm assuming that's going to be the inside of the card. Maybe not. Let's see how. I don't think it matters, you guys. So see if that's the one I want to use. I think I want to use this one. Which one do you guys think I should use? This one on top of the card, and I'll use a little bit of this trim down here and a little bit of this trim here, or do you like this one? So this is number 2. This is number 1. I really love these trees, but they're too big. And I have oh, it's not too big. That's kind of cool. Should I do the tree, you guys? Tell me in the comments. Okay, so let's see. Oh, hi, Sherry. Gosh, it's so nice to see so many of you on here. So Sherry says number 2. Lori says yes, that one. Elaine says number 2. Susan says number 1. Number 2. Oh, Melissa says the tree. And the tree. Okay, let's try the tree, you guys. So let me get, let's see. I want to see how I want to position this on here. So I'm going to take a little bit of water. Usually I have a dish of water on the table, but I didn't think I was going to need it today. And so I'm going to use a watercolor brush, a round tip brush, and some water. And I'm going to just go down the edge of this because I don't want to cut it with scissors. I want a nice organic tear to it. And I can see it kind of beating up on this deli paper, so it'll be interesting to see if it tears well. So let's, oh yeah, it does. Perfect. So let me make sure I'm in camera with you guys. So I just scored it with the water along here. And now I'm just pulling it apart. Okay. So far, so good. Do you see the cute snowflakes that are up here? I'm gonna have to do some more with the snowflakes. See, I intended to do this project last week so I could get a few Christmas cards out, but you know, it just didn't work out that way. Okay, so again, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to go above the card because I can always sand that piece off. And then I'm going to pull that off. And I'm going to save this because I'll use it for something. It's got a nice little snowflake on it. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here across the bottom. I think the two sides to this deli paper are different. It's deli paper and it's to keep your sandwiches and stuff from leaking. So one side seems to be coated. Okay, that's super cute, you guys. I really like that. All right, so then I just need a little bit of, I like to use Dixie Belle Satin Top Coat for all of my decoupage. I do not use Mod Podge because Mod Podge will yellow and crack over time. And if I've gone to all of this effort, especially if it's a collage project or whatever, I don't want it yellowing and cracking over time. I only want cracking when I add crackle to something. Okay, and when I decoupage, I like to get it placed where I want it. That's the top of my tree, so that's where I want it. And I'm going to pull that back, and I'm going to put because I know what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the card up. Okay, so I've got my two edges. I need to move this up. I've got my two edges. I kind of think they're centered on each side. The tree down here and the tree top there. So, and I think it's straight. And so I'm going to just pull that back, and I am using the Dixie Belle Satin Top Coat, and I'm just going to paint that on. If you are a Wise Owl person, the Wise Owl varnish works really well for decoupage. So whichever medium you like to use. I've seen some people use the Liquitex, and since I use other Liquitex products, that would work well. Okay, so I've got my anchor down, and now I'm going to take a little bit of plastic wrap, just saran wrap plastic wrap, and just smooth that out a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to lift up and just put a nice smooth coat on, and I'm offloading my brush down here and then working my way up there. That way I don't end up with a big blob of product underneath there. And just lay it back down again. And just smooth it out. And by using the plastic wrap, there's a lot of texture on your fingertips. And by using the plastic wrap, that keeps you from tearing your tissue or your paper. This satin top coat is the same thing that I would finish a piece of furniture with. So it protects your work and leaves a really nice finish. And I'll look in a minute to see if you guys have any questions. Debbie, I'm always so envious that your mom is there to help you. It makes life so much easier when somebody is reading the questions and helping you answer the questions. And if some of you don't know who Debbie Riggs is, she has a wonderful channel that is, she has several. She has Studio MD AZ, which is open to everyone. And she also has a membership group that is the Czech Savvy Sisterhood. And they do amazing things and are amazing women. So kind, such good hearts, good souls. They're super fun. So if you aren't familiar with Debbie Riggs' group, I would recommend that you check her out. And Leslie Clark on here, she lives in Tucson and she is a Dixie Belle retailer. And so if you live in the Tucson area, I highly recommend you go visit Leslie. As much as I love to decoupage, you guys, and I do, I tell people all the time, if you stand still, I'll decoupage you. And to be able to make your own decoupage tissue, and I do have my own line of decoupage tissue, but to be able to make creations like this is pretty darned awesome. So I'm going to go back over the whole piece to seal it, but at the moment I'm just going to give it a quick dry because I want to sand off the top and the bottom, and I don't want to do it wet. And I love how raggedy this is on the sides. To me, that is just perfection. And I also have a stencil. I'll see if I can put my fingers on it here. I think this is it. That I used on another project last week. And it won't work for this card, but it sure would work for other cards. But you can see, I don't want to go over this pretty Christmas tree, but that spells out Merry Christmas in a really pretty font. That would be pretty, making your own cards. Even if you didn't make your own tissue, just stenciling on your cards would be really cool. Okay, so let me get my sanding block here. This is just a 220 sanding block. And I'm just going with a downward motion. Look at those filthy hands, you guys. And it needs to be dry when you do this. So you just go with a downward motion and it just makes a perfect cut. Okay, can you guys see what a perfect cut that is? We'll do this in. And I like to just take my sanding sponges and cut them off into smaller pieces. Okay, so we'll get rid of those pieces, and there are a couple of spots on here that as I was sanding were coming up. Where I didn't get them down well. Okay, you guys, probably should have had it facing this direction the whole time. What do you think? If you like this, give me some hearts. So we created decoupage tissues, all kinds of different decoupage tissues, and then we decoupaged it onto our card, and I really think that turned out pretty. Now, I could have, if you have a Cricut machine, you could put your cards in your machine and write out your message on the inside, and then you would have a pretty font. I know how to do lots and lots of things. I don't know how to do that. I know you just put a pin in and it shouldn't be too difficult, but that's like, you know, probably a half hour, 45-minute learning experience that I haven't had 45 minutes to figure out. So my card is folding, it's curling up a little bit from being wet. So I'm gonna put a heavy book on top of it, and I'll put some parchment paper between the book and this so nothing sticks to it. So let me see if you guys have any questions. Oh, there you go. Hey, Nature, I didn't know you were on here. So you put a pin in and you hit draw instead of cut. We'll see how simple that is. And I watched another video. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, you guys. I watched another video where the guy was getting his pins from the Dollar Tree. He'd get like 6 pins that work exactly in the Cricut thing, and I was like, I really need to learn how to do that. Thank you, Sue. Hey, Solly Joe, you've caught me a couple of times this week. Thanks. Thanks, Nature. Elaine, I'm so glad to hear that you use Dixie Belle Top Coat too. And you know, you can use any of them. You can use the gator hide, you can use the satin top coat, the gloss, the matte. It doesn't matter. They're all top coats and they will all decoupage beautifully. Whenever I decoupage furniture, that's what I always use. It works out beautiful. So whatever you have on hand, that's what you should use. Just don't use Mod Podge. I just cringe every time I hear somebody using Mod Podge. So it looks like a lot of you said to use the tree. So I'm glad that's what we did. And I have to say, I'm pretty happy with this. It's a pretty cool looking card. And, you know, I created that. I created that using a Gelli Plate, you guys. I'm pretty impressed with myself. So, and we've got so many pretty designs here. Really pretty designs. And, you know, some of these floral ones will be nice for other holidays, birthdays, thank you cards. I really love how grungy this one is. I can see that on a collage. This was another one of those tree ones, and the snowflakes, this was like a second pull. I think this was the first pull. So, you know, they came out pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. So do you guys have any questions? Okay, you guys, I thank all of you so much for joining me this afternoon and coming along this experiment and journey with me. And I will not be on, let me put the camera back up. I will not be back on next week. I'll be up at my daughter's cabin. There's that Santa Claus. I'll be up at my daughter's cabin next week, just enjoying family. And I hope you guys are all having a Merry Christmas and enjoying your family. And I will be back the first Tuesday of January. I don't know what that date is, but whatever the first Tuesday of January, I will be back. And you guys have a safe and warm and a Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks so much for all the support you guys have given me for this past year. I appreciate each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea what it's like to see you guys show up every single week. It just amazes me. So you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you next year. Bye.